Podcasting with Ceri Jones.
Well, Happy New Year all. I hope you all had a great Christmas, albeit a restricted one, and here's hoping that 2021 brings us plenty of tight lines. For the first of this year's podcasts, I chat with somebody at the other side of the world, who's one of the country's most successful competition anglers, both in rivers and lochstyle, achieving 7 Anglian water medals, 3 Lexus Anglers World medals. He also has been top Lexus Individual, as well as representing Wales at international level, gaining no fewer than 19 caps. These are just a few of his achievements. In 2016 though, he gave up his UK competition scene to do what some anglers only dream about. He moved to New Zealand for a new life with his wife Lisa, who's also a Welsh fly fishing international. I catch up with him at his new home on the South Island and tells us of his new fly fishing experiences and gives advice to anyone wanting to experience what New Zealand has to offer. Welcome to my chat with Dean Kibble. Hello, Dean.
Hi, Ken.
Well, Happy New Year to you.
Well, yeah, thank you.
Now, there's one thing before we begin our chat that I feel it is something I have to do, right? Now, in fact, it'd be rude not to. Have you actually learnt it?
No.
I thought it'd be compulsory to get your visa.
No, there's loads of people who've taken the piss and said that to me, but no.
Well, what happens when it comes to rugby then, though? Do you wear a red shirt when you go to the bar?
I support Wales and New Zealand are like the second team to me now. When they are playing Australia or England or something, I support New Zealand. But I couldn't support them over Wales.
I was thinking back when the first time was I met you.
Was it the Side Dressers Guild?
No, that was a close second. I actually met you first in the Barrows. And
I remember,
yeah. I was fishing regular with Stormy then, and then for a change, instead of going to Chew or Blagdon, we thought, let's try the Barrows. And I remember it was a cold day, and you were fishing with Anthony Cartwright.
Yeah, I think we got blown off Chew, I think, didn't we?
That's right, yeah.
To the Barrows, yeah.
And do you know what? I think that's the only time I've ever fished the Barrows.
No, we used to fish it quite a bit. We used to go down there with heads, and it's good fishing there.
I enjoyed it. Very similar sort of fishing to Farmore and Egglois in a certain way, isn't it? You know, the concrete bowls sort of.
Yeah, the last few years before we come over here, Lisa and I, we bought season tickets at Chew. We actually fished the Barrows quite a bit on them. We used to fish them through the winter, on the season ticket.
It was open throughout the winter, wasn't it?
Yeah, it was open throughout the winter. They usually used to shut one of them, but we'd go down there on the weekends and usually boobies on a shooting head, and we had some good days down there.
And you know what? Like, I've passed it countless times. Coming back from Bristol Airport, you're coming down a bit of a banking, and you can see them in front of you, can't you? And I thought, right, I got to make a point of fishing it again, but I haven't got around to doing it. Another thing I remember then, I was looking back, we fished Panterios together, didn't we?
Panterios, yeah. I remember we came out on the boat with me when I was secretary down there.
That's right, yeah. I don't know if that's still going. Is it the club?
No, Panterios, they've done exactly the same there. They've lowered the water levels and they took the fish out, and they've said to the club it's going to reopen. But that was about 3 years ago again.
And Penavant Pond then, that's part of the same club, wasn't it? I don't know if that's still...
Yeah. Well, Penavant Pond is a feeder lake for I think it's the Monmouth Canal, I think it's called, and it's a feeder pond for that, so I think that's safe for them. Yeah,
I never fished that. I've been up there to see it, but Panterios was the main one. There's a club water, wasn't it? Are you originally from Blackwood, Pont Llanfraith, is it?
No, I'm originally from a little village called Argyd.
Argyd, oh yeah,
and, I used to walk to Penavon every night when I come home from school, where I cut my fly fishing teeth at Penavon. Go up there and fish into the dark. We used to get the great red sedge up there.
Yeah, I heard.
And they used to run along the top of the water, before they took off, making a V-wake. And the fishing was great. We used to use size 6 long shank muddlers to imitate them. And then someone introduced crayfish in there. Within a couple of seasons, they'd gone.
Or the sedges?
The sedges, yeah. Crayfish sold off.
Did they used to stock Penavon, or was it purely wild?
But when I first started fishing up the Ceri, it was only brown trout, and they used to stock about 600 or 700 a year, but they used to breed in the streams as well. They were stock fishing there, but you could tell when you got the wild fish as well. They were like Irish fish, small heads, big shoulders, beautiful fish. Just like everything, when the fly fishing boom took off then, and a lot of people started fishing, they had to put the rainbows in to keep people happy. It's a real good water to fish, because to catch fish up there regular, you've got to be able to, to fish properly. You need to be able to fish in nymphs and your dries. Otherwise, apart from a few days after stocking, you won't catch much, because they get straight onto the natural food up there. You won't catch them on a blob or anything like that, and it's all nymphs or dry flies or go home. Yeah.
So that's how you started your doing well in competitions, really, by fishing imitatively, like.
Yeah, well, when I started competition fishing, it was me and Steve Whittaker started fishing comps together, and when you go to places like Llandegford, stop using lures,
Yeah.
Just fish international rules all the time. That way, you're not thinking in the back of your head, "Oh, I wish I had a nobbler."
Does he fish now?
Steve, he does a bit. He's not fishing, like he used to. He had a couple of kids, and he put his family before competition fishing, really. In fact, the poor bugger, he fished the semi-final on Brennig with us for the Anglian water, and then he couldn't make the final the year we won it.
Oh.
The first time we won it. So he'd fished every match, and then the first international final we got to, he'd used up all his time from work, and he had a bit of hassle with, at home with the time he had away, and we actually won it. So felt really bad for him.
That's the thing with competition fishing as well, isn't it? It's you've got to put a lot of time, and if you're working, you've got to take your time, your holiday leave to go to do it. And it's not just like a one day, it's like a best part of a week, like, isn't it? And the expenses is an awful lot.
Quite a few days practice you need, if you're going to take it seriously, and if you're going to spend all that money, you've got to take it seriously, haven't you?
Yeah. I'm thinking then, the last time I actually met you was in Ireland, wasn't it? In 2013.
Yeah.
When I was the coach of the ladies, and you were our team tire then. And the following year then, you were coach of the team. And where was that?
That was on Trousvennet.
And that's where you met Lisa?
Yeah, that's where I met Lisa, yeah.
And you came back with gold then?
No, I came back with gold. The team didn't. The team did share. So
how actually did you meet? You actually met on the practice days before, over here?
I actually met her at Cumhead Fishery.
Oh, yeah.
The next time I met her then, we was fishing the inter-teams day at Trousvennet, and Lisa was in the boat with me. When I got in the boat, she was a bit distraught. She'd had a shit day's practice the day before. I hadn't been there. I'd been fishing a competition on Tuesday the day before. We went out in the boat, and she was fishing long leaders and nymphs, and she was found at the tangle. So I said, hang on, this is Trousvennet. So I took a floating line off her, put an intermediate on, and shortened the cast up with a small poly leader and a blob and a Montana. And it was just one of those days. Everything seemed, I worked out the way the trout were running. And
so you impressed her with your blobs?
Yeah, impressed her with my blobs. I won it. I got I got 20 fish, and Lisa was third with 13. So that was the start of our romance then. Impressed her with my blobs.
So you only wanted for your fly box?
Yeah,
So
I only wanted me for my fly box.
And then from that then, it happened quite quick, didn't it, for I remember? When did you go to New Zealand?
We went to New Zealand in 2016.
Right, so that was 13.
But,
so it would have been 3 years before you moved.
Yeah. We went to Cuba for Christmas and got on a fishing holiday and got engaged in Cuba. So we then decided we were going to go back and get married. So the following June, myself, Lisa's two sons, Matthew Griffiths, Gareth Jones, and his wife Tracy, and Anthony, we all went to Cuba, did a bit of fishing, and me and Lisa got married there.
Fantastic. Was the fishing good?
Actually, it wasn't when we got married because it was too hot there, and most of the fish had gone off the flats. We had a couple of small bones there, and I actually hooked the tarpon, which I didn't keep it on, but I did hook one.
A lot of people talk about Cuba. It's never really floated my boat. It's never really. Would you go back there?
I've been there 7 times.
Oh, so that answers it then.
That answers it. Yeah, I think it's a fantastic place, Ceri. But you've got to go with a reputable outfit.
Yeah.
There's a lot of local guides out there that will take your money and just take you for a ride on the boat. But if you go with a reputable company, Avalon or Solid Adventures or someone, you'll have the time of your life. And
that's what you know the contacts now, I guess, been a few times. Yeah.
Well, we went. We were one of the first parties that went to the Isle of the Youth. We had a fantastic time, and
there's a picture you sent. Was that from Cuba of you holding? I don't know what it was. There was one like a roundish fish, not a bonefish. Oh, permit, is it?
Oh, permit. Yeah,
right.
Permit, yeah.
That was a fair-sized fish.
The guides tell you don't choose the permit choose you. Because you cast at a lot of them and ignore everything. They're very hard to hook on the fly. And,
great to photograph. Lovely-looking fish.
Yeah, we went there with Solid Adventures to Cayo Coco, and I got a Grand Slam there, and it was the first one they'd had in that area for about 8 years. I come off and had all the guides slapping me on the back and buying me drinks, and whenever I go there now, they all remember me and they come up and make a fuss of me.
So what is the Grand Slam?
That's a permit, a bonefish, and a tarpon the same day. The 3 of them.
Oh, right.
The 3 of them the same day, yeah.
Well, being as Welsh, we used to having Grand Slams, didn't we?
Yeah.
So why New Zealand then? So what happened there?
I was working in London. Lisa was actually working in Bridgend. I was only seeing her on the weekend, and then we were off fishing. So it wasn't fair on Lisa, so we decided, we needed to spend more time together. Well, we've got nothing to hold us back, the world's our oyster. So we went to a seminar about living and working in New Zealand. Next thing you know, we were both applying for jobs to get a visa to come over. Never been here, okay? We got off the plane with 2 suitcases, one with clothes, one with fishing tackle. Nothing sorted out. We hired a car, spent the first night in a hotel, then rented a house the second night, and just got on with life.
Haven't you got to show that you've got work to go there then, before you go to New Zealand?
Yeah. Well, Lisa had a job offer. She had a job to go to. We were originally going to go to Hamilton in the North Island. I had a job offer.
Oh, yeah.
But the lad who offered me the job was messing me about a bit. So Lisa got a job offer in between. So we went with Lisa as the lead applicant, and we came down to the south. And I'm glad we did, really, because it's a lovely place to live. Really nice and friendly.
Any Welsh people there?
Yeah. There's the village we're in. There's a girl in the garage, and a couple have got like a little small holding behind us has got Welsh roots as well.
Is there? Small world. We get everywhere, don't we?
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
So you're down south now?
We're in the South Island. right down south, not far from Invercargill.
The fishing played a big part there, so you're not far from good fishing, I guess.
We're right in the middle of the Ceri, and we're right on the Aparima River. It's about 500 or 600 meters behind our house. Within an hour, I've got the Ariti, the Matara, the Waiau, Waitaya, all famous rivers. There's loads of other smaller rivers in it, the Whitestone, Upakaroa, Waikaka. Oh, there's just so many to name. All within hour and a half, 2 hours of me.
So how does it work there with permits and tickets? Is each river different or?
No. You buy one ticket. It's probably the equivalent of £100 in Britain, and that covers you for everything. And that's for the family, not just for you.
Is there a season?
There's a lot of the rivers have seasons, but below the last bridge, which is mostly just above the tidal zone, you can fish all year. And there's some bloody good fishing in the winter in the tidal zones. I take my little boat down there and...
yeah, I noticed on your Facebook page a few pictures of you and your boat. Is that what you're fishing? Is it in the tidal stretches? Or are there lakes?
Yeah.
Are there lakes that you fish as well?
Yeah, we've got up the road is the Southern Lake. So Lake Tiano, which is 35, 40 k's long. Manapori, just a little bit smaller. Then below that, the best of all is Lake Monowai.
Are they shallow lakes or are they deep?
They're deep, but they've got some shallow areas in them.
That's what you'd concentrate.
Yeah, well, when we fish lakes, we like to fish. We go to up Central Otago a lot. There's a lot of smaller lakes up there. But say smaller, they're the size of Rutland and Grattan, and they're shallower, and there's a bigger density of fish in them. And our favourite is Lake Onslow. The last season we fished that lot. We fished it 10 times, and we averaged 24 fish a trip.
Oh,
yeah.
What sort of size are they?
And the fish, they range in between say a pound and a half and about 5.
Yeah, all browns.
A lot in the all browns there. But the next lake over then is Lake Poolburn, or Poolburn Dam they call it, and that's about the size of Draycott.
Oh yeah.
And the average size in there is 3 to 4 pounds.
Average, yeah.
Yeah. And then just to the left of that, there's another lake then called Upper Manabone, and that's full of rainbows. They average about 2.5 to 3 pounds.
So would techniques be the same methods as, say, the loch style fishing over here? You know, you're fishing your dries or your nymphs or the buzzers, wets and pulling.
It's amazing that the style of fishing that we do in the UK, it works over here, and no one else is doing it, Ceri.
Is it?
When you see, if you see someone out in New Zealand on a boat, 80% of the time they're just trawling.
Yeah.
You know, spinners up the back. The other 19% use the boat to get somewhere, pull it up off the bank, and fly fish off the bank. Me and Lisa drift. We don't see anyone else doing it. No one else loch styling it all over here. It's absolutely deadly. You know, humongous and a few wet flies underneath it, chuck them out and pull it back. It's deadly, or a damsel. You know, when you're rising, you know, the way we fish our dries or our jowls and that, it's absolutely deadly.
So when you, for most days, the weather out there, I guess, is sort of warm and sunny most of the time, is it?
Not where we live. It's not where we live. It's very much like back home in Britain. The next stop for us is the Antarctic.
All right, yeah. Because I thought, like, for conditions-wise, ideally over here on the reservoirs, you want like cloudy days and a bit of breeze, but I always thought like the sun would be shining all the time there, but it's not then.
No. But when the sun does shine over here, it has the opposite effect to what happens in the UK. In the UK, bright sunshine, fish disappear.
Yeah, they go down.
It's like lighting a fuse over here.
Is it?
When there's bright sunshine, the fish are on.
What sort of fly hatches do you get then, and what time of the year are they? Like over here, obviously you got the peak times are like April, into May and then September. Is it similar there?
It's similar over here. Only it's our summer is your winter.
Right.
So our season starts over here. Our spring starts October the 1st. So on the rivers you get the mayflies. There's a few knocking around in October and that, and then November you get some sedges about, and then in December things start to kick off. You've got terrestrials, and there's a fly called the willow grub.
Yeah.
It's a sawfly, and all the willow trees around the rivers, they get little blisters on them. And there's like a little caterpillar thing, it's about the size of a size 16 hook, drops onto the water. The fish just stay there and they just go nuts on them. They just, in a river, they just stay there up and down because there's so many fall off. But in the backwaters, they swim around patrolling, just eating. But they're not easy to catch. They can be frustrating. I love it. I enjoy it because you can get close to the fish. And I found a technique that seems to work for me. Whereas I've got a little foam one, and then about 8 inches from it, I've got a one that I tie with. Remember Jonathan used to sell that blobtail at Celtic Fly?
All right, yeah.
Well, I just wrap some of that on the hook like a beetle shape, and I just cast them both at the fish, and about 25% of them take the dry one, but 75% of them take the
underneath, the
one just a little bit lower.
So you prefer fishing the rivers yourself?
Yeah, I prefer fishing the rivers. And over here, when I first came over here, I was quite cocksure of myself on the rivers.
Yeah.
Because I fished a lot of rivers internationals. I spent a lot of time on the rivers. I thought I knew what I was doing. Boy, I had my ass kicked.
Really?
Really, yeah. Really. I was, if you're heavy into what they call it, Euro nymphing now, when it's Czech nymphing, you can't get near the fish over here. Most of the fishing is sight fishing. The fish are bigger, but they don't get bigger by being stupid. They know all about human beings. I caught some fish, and every season I'm catching more and more now, and bigger ones. So I'm doing something right. But I know a lot of people who come over from the UK. They go back thinking, I can see them, but I can't catch them. It's you've just got to learn to be.
That's the thing. You look on Instagram and Facebook, and you see all these people catching these fish. I bet they only probably have one or two good fish a season, I guess. But you think like everybody's catching these great fish.
Well, you see a lot of like Meg Kirkpatrick and that. There's a lot of them. They're highly edited. I mean, a lot of the guides like Christo before, he's probably the top guide in this area, and he's always preaching to people before you come to the South Island, learn to cast properly, get your technique right. Otherwise, you're going to go home disappointed. There's loads of fish around here. There's loads of opportunities there, but there's so much water and so many options. You need someone to take you to the right place at the right time. Otherwise, you'll spend all your time driving and getting frustrated.
Yeah.
It happened to me that when I first came here, I was, there was so much disappointment.
Was there?
Yeah. When I first came here, what happens is you tend to not plan properly, just to get in the car so enthusiastic and go, and you want things to happen to be there when you get there. Wrong time of the year to be there, or the wrong river to be on at the time, and you don't catch a lot, and it's disappointing. But once you get to know it and know where to go and what to do, it's the best place on earth. The north of the island, the Tongariro system and that, they've got more fish there than everything, but down here, it's a challenge. Fish are there, they're not easy. You don't know what to do when you're going to struggle.
Yeah. Well, it's like anything, the best things is you've got to work at it. If it was easy, you'd lose interest in it.
Yeah. Well, Alan Hill came over here 2 years ago and stayed around with us for a bit, and then he went around the north of the island and that, and then he was going to go to Christchurch and fly home. And after 2 weeks, he phoned up, and I come back. He said, where you're living is the best fishing in New Zealand.
And the hire,
Yeah, exactly.
how much is a hired car over there?
I know when Alan comes over here, he hires a car, and it costs him I think he's usually here for a month, and it costs him for a month what one of the big hire firms will charge you for a week. You don't really want a new car. Some of the places you take them over here either.
Yeah, I can
So
imagine.
there's something to support. In fact, Kelly, you don't have to insure a car over here. There's
No?
no, it's not like the UK where it's compulsory. You could buy a runabout for $1,000, which is probably 500 quid in UK's money, and then sell it before you go. You know?
It's the photography I'd love over there as well, to be honest, I think.
Yeah.
Is it mountainous down the south?
Yeah. We are right on the edge of Fiordland, but there's right through the spine of the South Island is the Alps, and the snow covered most of the year. I think there's only 4 passes actually go through them, but it's seen it. It's absolutely breathtaking.
Yeah, I can imagine. That's where they filmed Lord of the Rings as well, isn't it? Or is that North Island?
No, it's all through New Zealand. The lakes I was just telling you about, Mavola, they did quite a bit of filming up there. They did quite a bit in the South Island, and one of the lakes we go to, Poolburn, they did quite a bit of filming up there, right through New Zealand. But it's breathtaking scenery. Yeah, well, we live right on the edge of Fiordland here.
Yeah.
And they call it the last real wilderness in New Zealand.
Right.
Because most of the access in there is by helicopter or float plane.
Oh, yeah,
or by boat along the big lakes. But the mountains and fjords are absolutely stunning.
I bet there's waters there that haven't been fished.
Oh, I live on the Upper River here, and it's one of the big 5 for it. But everyone who comes here on holidays, they go to the Oriti or the Matara. And I've very, very rarely seen another person fly fishing on there. And the water's gin clear. And the fishing there, the average from say £1 to about £5. Never seen anyone else fly fishing on there. Early season, you see a few people spinning. Other than that, never see anyone. Yeah,
So what's the cost? If somebody came, obviously the fishing there now, what is it? You said there's £100 for the year, roughly, for the fishing.
Yeah.
So a guide then, a good guide, what would that cost?
Probably, I know, well, have you heard of Gavin Hurley from Australia? Hurley's Fly Fishing?
No.
He's got quite a big guiding service. He's got about 8 guides working with him. And he charges $800 a day. It isn't cheap. I know some of the guides are charging up to $1,000 a day, and the lodges at the top of the South Island, Owen River Lodge, and that, they're charging even more, Kelly.
Have you thought about doing something like that yourself?
Well, to be honest, I have, and it's a long-term goal because as well as the fishing myself, I actually enjoy taking people.
Yeah.
I've had friends from the UK, come out, and I've taken them out, and and shown them around, and I actually enjoy doing it. It's something that I'm looking into, but at the moment, it's all one stop.
When we spoke the other day, we mentioned the competition fishing. Like, you were big, obviously, into the competition fishing when you're over here. Do you do anything over there?
The first competition I entered over here, I actually won. It was a peers competition for the Otago anglers on the Matara River. And I was paired with a Chinese fella. You're paired with someone, you take them. They try to pair someone who's experienced with someone who isn't.
Right.
And I had this Chinese fella. What was his name? Tony, wasn't it? Tony Tang. And we went up on the Matara, and there was a bit of a language barrier. And anyway, he didn't catch anything, and I caught 9, and that was enough to win it.
Oh, you done well then.
Lisa and the lad that she was with, Dan, they came second. I think they had 6 or 7.
Brilliant.
But this year I fished the oldest competition in the Southern Hemisphere, white heat gold medal. I fished it a few times, but it always seemed to be barren fish to me. But this year I went and there was some fish in the beat, and I actually caught 6. You only weigh 3 in, and there was 4 of us caught our 3, weighed in 3 fish, and I managed to get the silver medal.
What's the preferred method in the rivers there then? Would it be just a dry line, or just traditional sort of?
Dry, yeah. I'd fishing a floating line, quite a buoyant dry fly, and then a nymph below it. Fishing 2 nymphs to fish you can see is another good method. Obviously dry fly, and in the lower reaches, throw some streamers around on a sink tip, or even a die 5 or a die 7 in some of the fast pools work well. But a lot of the fish, I realised how many fish I've missed through my life, because a lot of the time you see fish, you cast your fly at it, and the only indication that you'll have that it's taken your fly is you'll see his mouth open or his gill move.
Yeah.
Your dry fly, or if you've got an indicator, it won't move at all. You just got to be watching the fish. And I've taken boys from work and the wife out, and I said, you just at your fly. And they've gone, no, it hasn't. It bloody has. And it's only by looking at that fish and seeing either his gills flare or his mouth open. That's the only indication you know that he's taking your fly. Other than that, it's spatted out.
What is your best brown over there in a river?
I actually caught it a few weeks ago, just over £10.
Really?
Yeah.
And was that sight fishing? Did you see him?
That was sight fishing, Ceri, and there was one by the side of him that was, I would say, 2 or 3 pounds bigger than him as well. Again.
Wow. Did you get a photograph of the fish?
Yeah.
Wow, £10.
No, it's not the best photograph. It's one that I took. I put my iPhone on the rock, and
yeah.
But he didn't come out the best. But it was.
You can always go back and catch him again.
Well, a few weeks before that, I went a bit further up the river, and that's all I could see was his shape moving at the head of the pool. It was blowing so hard I couldn't cast. So I waited for the wind to die down. I put the cast in, hooked the fish, and it tried to jump out the river. And it was so big, it was like a tarp, and it was so fat it couldn't get out of the river. Yeah. So it ran me under some willows and snapped my line. But I went the day I got that £10. I went back to the pool that he was in, and there's a big backwater behind it.
Yeah.
And there he was, lying in that backwater. He just looked at me and slunk out of the way. It's bloody huge.
Wow. So, I guess that's the thing, when you get to know the river, and they don't go far from the spot. If they're happy there and the feed is there, they'll stay there, no doubt.
Yeah. They like a bit of shingle bank to, with this nice drop off. Just an area where they lie under the banks a lot of the time. So sometimes you walk with it, and all the fish are in the deep holes or under the banks, and you think there's nothing there.
Yeah.
But they're bloody there. They just hiding. And another thing that I've noticed, or I've seen over here, that I never ever saw in the UK, is fish sleeping.
Yeah.
Yeah. They go in the side of the river, and they go to sleep. And you can get right up to them, and you can put a fly, dangle it right down in their face. Then all of a sudden they'll wake up and they're gone. You actually think that the fish is ill. It's not. It's just sleeping.
I suppose because they haven't got lids as such, but they still shut themselves off, I guess, I suppose, to a certain extent.
Yeah. It's amazing. You can go there and you can put your fly right in front of them, and it's like as if they're blind.
Wow.
And all of a sudden, something will wake them, get them up, and they just bolt. They're gone.
So the thing is, when you got a good excuse now, if you go out and you don't catch nothing, you just say they were sleeping.
Yeah, yeah. When you can actually see fish and observe them, you learn a hell of a lot. You take it for granted. When I fish on the river in the UK, you're catching fish under your feet, but you can't see them. And you've got hundreds of fish in our rivers. I mean, the rivers in South Wales have never been as good as they are now.
I know, yeah.
They're all full of fish. Whereas over here, in some of the rivers, you won't, in a kilometre, you might only have a dozen fish.
Really?
Yeah, but they're all big. If you're a small fish in these rivers, you're either good at hiding or you're food.
Well, as regards the lakes then, do you get any, big trout in the lakes?
Just up the road from me, there's two lakes called Mavola. There's the upper lake and the lower lake. And they're surrounded by beech trees.
Yeah.
And I've got a video here of a lad pulling out a 14-pounder in the dark on a mouse.
On a what?
Last year, on a mouse.
On a mouse? Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
We went up there last year. We fished in the dark one evening, and I pulled out a 5-pounder on the mouse and
wow.
missed a few others. But there's a lot of big fish in these lakes, and I'm sure if you came over here doing what you do in Ireland, you catch fish you never dreamed of.
This is what I was thinking of, because are there any, I don't suppose it's coarse fish as such, but are there any bait fish you can see in the lakes there?
There's some, a few naturals, and trout eat each other as well, don't they?
Yeah.
Down south down here, most of the lakes and rivers are surrounded by beech trees. And every few years they call it a beech mast, which is a huge fall of seeds from the beech trees. So then you get an explosion of mice. The mice, they get on the water. And me and Lisa, we've been up on one way through the day, let alone we see mice swimming across the lake. These fish, they just feed heavily on the mice, and they
that'd
put
be
on
something to see.
A lot of weight. But I went up onto one of our rivers last year, and I hooked a big fish and lost it. And that was the only thing I had all day. The other fish I've seen in the river were just not interested. And I stopped and I was talking to the local farmer, and he said to me, at the moment, he said, you come down here at night and that's all you can hear is bang, splash, bang, splash. He said, they're eating mice all night. He said, and then they're just resting up through the day.
That'd be quite something to do, that would. I'd love to have a crack at that.
Yeah, an amazing place, Ceri.
So for somebody from the UK who wanted to come over there then, what would be the best months you would say? A best window to have the best fishing?
I would probably say February. The summer fishing is kicking off then. The weather is usually better. Sometimes you come over here early season. Well, it's the middle of summer now, and we've had floods. The weather here can be quite volatile, but it seems to be February and March is, I would say, when the weather is at its best. You've got long days as well. Then you're talking light at 5:36. Dark at 9:30, 10 in the evening, so you've got a long day as well if you want it.
Yeah. What's the story over there now with COVID? Are you in lockdown or anything over there?
No. We had 6 weeks lockdown at the start, and that's been it. It's eradicated here. The only COVID that they get over here now is in managed isolation when someone comes into the country.
All right.
But life is going on as normal for us over here now.
Oh, it's chronic over here at the moment. And I can imagine it's going to be like this for at least another month. And we can't even fish.
Yeah. We keep saying to each other and friends, we're probably in the best place in the world.
It looks like you got a dream life there, no? You got a wife who fishes. You got 2 lovely dogs as well. I noticed on Facebook. And you're probably fishing every weekend.
Yeah, I'm fishing nearly every weekend. But as well as that, Ceri, I do a bit of duck shooting when duck hunting season starts first week in May. It's actually bigger than Christmas, duck hunting over here.
Is it?
It's it's a family affair. The kids are out, the wives are out doing some baking and everything in the May night on opening day. It's absolutely huge, and it's a big deer hunting area where I am as well. Do a bit of deer hunting as well. Just got into that. You can't beat a bit of venison. When you shoot it yourself, you get the nicer cuts. You get the old ribeye from inside the rib cage. It's absolutely beautiful.
Is it?
The back steaks. Yeah, absolutely beautiful.
Yeah.
I eat it every day.
To be honest, I think if somebody said to me, what would you want to have as your last meal? I think mine would always be duck. I love duck. Steak a close second, but duck is going to be the first one, I think.
Yeah, I like duck as well.
So when is your next fishing trip now?
Well, at the moment, the rivers are a bit brown. I'm hoping that it'll clear up a bit by Sunday, so that I can get out for a few hours on Sunday.
Because didn't you have trouble with your boat or trailer or something?
Yeah, I had trouble with it coming back. It's all sorted now. I spent today repairing it. I'll be looking at the weather for Lake Onslow now in the next couple of weeks, because the cicadas are hatching up there now and the green beetles, so the fishing will be out of this world up there. So the first opportunity to get up to there will be up at Lake Onslow.
I'll keep an eye out on your Facebook page now for some new pictures then.
Have you ever fished Lough Harry on the openings?
No, I haven't. It's something which is on my bucket list.
It's a fantastic fishery, and Lake Onslow reminds me of it, only with bigger fish. It's up in the mountains.
Yeah. No
trees there. It's quite a wild place, but it just reminds me of Lough Harry. Only the fish are bigger.
Do you ever come back home?
No. I don't ever intend leaving New Zealand.
Even for visiting family or friends or anything, no?
No, I'm never, ever going anywhere else. There's so much here I want to see and want to do. There's no need for me to go anywhere else. If I want to do some saltwater fishing, I can go up to the top of the island or to the North Island. Kingfish and snapper on the fly is getting quite popular here now, and carway as well. They pull like hell.
Wow.
But we won't mention the saltwater fish because my wife keeps catching bigger ones than me.
Must be to do with the pheromones, I think.
It could be, yeah.
You say that, don't I?
Whenever we go to the saltwater, she seems to catch the bigger ones.
In fact, when I decided to do this podcast with you, I thought, we could do a double one, and get Lisa involved as well. But I think what we'll do, if she's up for it, I'll have a chat with her in the next couple of months, perhaps, and do a podcast purely on her side of it. Then
you up for that, Lisa? Yeah, she said she'd do that. Yeah.
Cool, that'll be good. I've only done one podcast with a lady angler so far, Alice Davis. You fished with Alice. Yeah. Well, we fished international there in Cara, wasn't it?
Yes, I fished with Alice a few times. Really keen.
She is, yeah. Very successful.
Yeah.
Do you tie now yourself?
Otherwise, I would be. Yeah, I'm always tying flies.
Is Lisa tie flies?
Tying flies. She can do, but she hasn't tied any for a while now.
Yeah. No need, I suppose.
I've got enough flies. She doesn't need to. I've got enough flies to last us probably 10 lifetimes. She actually does. When I'm tying flies, she sits down and paints. She paints fish.
Oh, does she?
She said she'll send you some that she's done.
Oh, cool.
But she's actually she's got a project going now where in the next couple of weeks she's going to actually paint the front of our house like a brown trout.
Really?
Side of our house, she's going to paint the top half of it brown, the bottom half of it like a slaty, whitey grey colour, and then she's going to do the spots on it.
Oh, I'd love to see that.
I'll send you a picture when she's done it.
Well, there's two people I've done podcasts with, two guests, which are artists. And that's Charles Jardine a couple of months ago, and David Miller. Yeah, we've got a print of David Miller's. In fact, it's right above me now. It's some mackerel and bass at one of the fly fairs, and he was raffled in this print. Right. And Lisa really liked it. So Toby Madigan, from Funky Fly Time won it. So I offered to buy it off him, and he said no chance. And then just after we got married, we were down at Chew Valley fishing, and Toby comes up and said, "Yeah, we're keeping this for you as your wedding present, and give it to us." That was good. So I've got it above my fly tying desk now, framed. And I like a bomb of it. I'm glad it's not a video link at the moment. That's something.
I
Again,
gotta
through
say.
lockdown now, I've got back into... For about 10 years, plus years, I didn't touch the vice. But lockdown end, you're sort of like thinking of things to do, and I'm enjoying it again now.
Well, it's always been part of my life. I enjoy fly tying as much as I do fishing.
Right, well, I suppose we could talk and talk. There's loads of things we could chat about. But one thing I want to ask you, as I ask everyone before we wrap up, is where would you want to be to make your last cast?
Probably on the Matara River at Cattle Flats when the mayfly are hatching. The last 6 weeks of the season here, they get huge hatches of mayfly. The whole river is full of fish. The fish are not as big as some of the rivers here, but there's just so many of them, averaging 2.5 to 5 pounds.
I can hear in your voice you really love it there, because I have expected many times when I ask people for their last cast, they always go back to where they started, and I half expected you to say another evening on Pen y Fan.
I always try to, with my life, to look forward, not back. Very often when you go back, things are not the same and you're disappointed. That's just the way I've always wanted to be. Coming over here has been a breath of fresh air to me.
Well, you've tempted me to tie some mouse patterns, and maybe next year or sometime I'll make a trip over.
You're always welcome here, Kev, but I can't see me coming back, Eddie. I love my life over here. Don't get me wrong. If I was to go anywhere else to live, it would be back to Wales. I just found part of the world that the pace of life and everything just suits me.
Yeah, it looks like you got it made. Well, give my regards to Lisa.
Okay then, Kev. Yeah. Okay.
Take care now.
Take care, Kev.
And you.
Ta-ra.
Nice chatting. Ta-ra, Dean. If this is your first time tuning in, make sure you catch all future episodes by clicking subscribe via the links on my website, castingwithkerryjones.com, or via iTunes or your favourite podcatcher. If you like what you've heard on this episode, feel free to drop me a line via my website. Tell me what you've enjoyed, ask a question, or better yet, tell me what you want to hear more of in the future. And if you're looking for additional tips, tackle reviews or venue information, or just want to see what's been hit in the back of my net lately, search up Casting with Kerry Jones on Facebook or follow me on Instagram. And if you still want more, I'm regularly uploading video content onto the Casting with Kerry Jones YouTube channel, so just check that out and subscribe over there too. Wherever you follow, subscribe, comment or message, I look forward to catching up soon for a good fishing chat. Well, I think that's all for now. So until next time, tight lines and don't strike too soon.